Dubai, a city built on ambition, a skyline where wealth rises from the desert. Like a mirage, for years, social media users around the world watched, in fascination as a Nigerian influencer, appeared to live a life most people could only dream about. Luxury cars, private jets, designer fashion, five-star hotels, diamond watches, to millions online. He represented success, a symbol of escape, proof that a young African man could conquer the global luxury scene. But behind the carefully curated photos and videos was a story far more complicated, a story involving global investigations, financial deception, and one of the most talked about internet crime cases of the modern social media era. This is the rise to fame of Ramon Olorunwa Abbas, known across the internet as Hushpuppi. In the age of Instagram, perception became currency. People no longer needed to inherit fame. They could manufacture it. Followers measured influence. Luxury became proof of achievement. And viral attention transformed ordinary individuals into global personalities overnight. Hushpuppi understood this world better than most. His online image was carefully designed. Every post was polished. Every location was expensive. Every appearance sent a message. Success, power, status. To supporters, he represented motivation. To critics, he represented mystery. One question followed him everywhere. Where did all the money come? Long before the luxury lifestyle, long before international headlines, there was a young boy growing up in Nigeria. Like millions of others, he grew up surrounded by economic struggle and social pressure. In many communities, survival itself was difficult. Opportunities were limited, and dreams often collided with harsh reality. Young people looked abroad for inspiration. America, Europe, Dubai. The internet introduced a new vision of success, a glamorous world that seemed impossibly far away. But for some, that distance created obsession. Across the world, social pressure pushes many people toward impossible expectations. Success became visible online. Not having wealth became visible too. Designer clothing, luxury vacations, exotic cars. People compared themselves constantly. For many young internet users, social media transformed ambition into competition. The pressure to appear successful became overwhelming. The internet created opportunities never seen before, but it also created new forms of deception. Cybercrime expanded rapidly. Email scams evolved. Online fraud became global. Criminal networks no longer needed physical borders. A laptop and internet connection could connect victims across continents. Authorities worldwide struggled to keep up. At some point, Ramon Abbas transformed into something larger than himself. An online personality, a luxury influencer, a digital celebrity. The name Hushpuppi began spreading online, and with every post, the image grew stronger. Luxury hotels, exclusive restaurants, first-class flights. His audience expanded rapidly. Dubai became central to the image, a city associated with wealth, ambition, and modern luxury. Every photo appeared cinematic. Every video reinforced the illusion of unlimited success. Followers watched closely. Many admired him. Others questioned him. But controversy only increased attention. Why were millions fascinated? Because social media rewards fantasy. People want to believe in overnight success. They want visible proof that dreams can become reality. Influencers understand this deeply. Luxury becomes storytelling. Cars are no longer transportation. They become symbols. Watches become status. Hotels become evidence. The audience sees aspiration, not investigation. The internet amplified everything. Posts were shared globally. Blogs discussed him. Music celebrities appeared around him. Luxury brands entered the frame. Online fame became real-world influence. And influence created power. Supporters defended him. Critics challenged him. Some believed he was simply a wealthy businessman. Others believed something darker was hidden beneath the luxury. Debates spread across social media. But one reality remained clear. Attention continued growing. As social media fame expanded publicly, investigators around the world were tracking something else privately. Cyber-enabled financial crime had become a massive international problem. Businesses lost millions. Individuals lost savings. Authorities struggled to trace digital money trails crossing multiple countries. Online deception evolved faster than regulations. As investigations intensified, authorities reportedly began analyzing financial patterns, digital communications, and international connections. Behind the glamorous social media persona, investigators believed a much larger story existed. The challenge was enormous. International cases require cooperation between multiple countries, agencies, and financial institutions. Every digital trail had to be verified. One of the most fascinating aspects of Internet-era crime is the performance. Publicly, individuals may appear untouchable. Privately, investigations may already be underway. The gap between image and reality can become enormous. Luxury becomes camouflage. Fame becomes distraction. And audiences rarely see what happens behind closed doors. The rise of influencers changed human behavior. People began measuring worth through visibility. The more attention someone received online, the more successful they appeared. But visibility can hide truth. The internet rarely shows the full story. By this stage, Hushpuppi had become more than an influencer. He became an internet phenomenon. Millions watched his every move. Fashion blogs covered him. Entertainment platforms discussed him. Luxury had become entertainment. As fame increased, scrutiny intensified. Online investigators, journalists, critics, and observers continued asking difficult questions. How was this lifestyle funded? Why did the wealth appear so sudden? And why did controversy follow the brand? Everywhere, internet fame can create a dangerous illusion. The belief that visibility equals protection. But history repeatedly shows that public image cannot always shield people from investigation. Sometimes, fame increases attention from authorities rather than reducing it. Financial crime investigations often take years. Authorities gather records, track digital activity, analyze communications, build timelines. The public rarely sees this process. But behind the scenes, cases can grow quietly until a decisive moment arrives. The internet often celebrates outcomes without examining methods. Luxury attracts admiration, but every visible success story carries unseen consequences. Sometimes those consequences affect victims far away from the spotlight. The rise of Hushpuppi represents more than one individual story. It reflects a larger global culture, a culture obsessed with appearances, a culture where online identity can become more powerful than reality. The digital era changed how people define success, but it also created dangerous temptations. Stories like this force society to ask difficult questions. What do we truly value? Why are people drawn toward displays of extreme wealth? How much pressure does modern culture place on young people to appear successful? And what happens when appearance becomes more important than truth? The story of Ramon Olorunwa Abbas became one of the most discussed internet crime narratives of the social media age. To some, it was a cautionary tale. To others, a symbol of internet era deception. But beyond headlines and online debates lies a deeper reality. In the digital age, perception can become more powerful than truth. And sometimes, what the world celebrates online is only part of the story. Before the investigations, before the headlines, there was the image. A man surrounded by private jets, luxury cars, designer fashion, and millions of online followers. To many people, he represented success. To others, he represented something suspicious. But behind the luxury lifestyle was a story the internet could never fully see. This is the story of fame, illusion, social media obsession, and the dangerous price of living for appearances. Long before the designer clothes and luxury hotels, there was ambition. Like millions of young people across the world, he dreamed of escaping poverty and achieving financial success. The internet would eventually become the doorway to a completely different life. Social media was changing the world. Suddenly, ordinary people could become global celebrities simply by creating an image powerful enough to capture attention. Luxury became more than wealth. It became identity. Expensive watches, designer brands, exotic vacations. These images represented status, power, and influence. As his online presence grew, so did public fascination. Every photo appeared carefully designed to communicate one message: success. Millions of followers watched the lifestyle unfold online. Private jets, penthouses, expensive dinners, and endless luxury shopping. To supporters, he represented motivation. To critics, the lifestyle raised difficult questions. The internet rarely rewards honesty as much as it rewards attention, and attention was becoming a form of power. The luxury image continued growing. Expensive designer fashion became part of the brand. Dubai became the perfect backdrop for the online persona. Futuristic architecture, wealth, and non-stop luxury. The lifestyle looked untouchable, but online fame can sometimes hide realities, invisible to the audience. As wealth became more visible, public curiosity became stronger. Questions about unexplained wealth began spreading online. Social media discussions slowly transformed into public suspicion. Authorities in multiple countries were reportedly investigating international cyber fraud operations linked to luxury lifestyles. Online, behind the glamour, investigators allegedly uncovered a complex digital world involving financial scams and money laundering operations. Luxury had become both the advertisement and the distraction. International authorities reportedly coordinated investigations into large-scale cybercrime operations. Public reports described schemes involving business email compromise and online financial fraud. The online image that once inspired millions was now attracting worldwide scrutiny. The same internet that built the fame was now helping expose it. Authorities carried out a major operation in Dubai targeting suspected cybercrime networks. Investigators reportedly seized luxury items, electronic devices, and financial evidence. For the public, the images were shocking. The lifestyle that once looked untouchable suddenly appeared fragile. The illusion had started collapsing. Court proceedings and investigations eventually transformed online controversy into legal consequences. Public reports later confirmed sentencing related to conspiracy to launder money connected to international fraud operations. The luxury image that once dominated social media had completely changed. The story became larger than one individual. It exposed the dangerous pressure created by social media culture. Online, wealth is often mistaken for success, but appearances can hide realities people never see. Millions continue chasing lifestyles they barely understand, driven by comparison, pressure, and the desire to appear successful. For years, millions of people watched the lifestyle online. Luxury cars, private jets, designer fashion. To many followers, it looked like success, without limits. But behind the glamorous images were growing allegations of international cyber fraud, money laundering, and digital deception. This is the story of how one of the internet's most famous luxury influencers became connected to one of the world's most talked about cybercrime investigations. Social media transformed the definition of success. Suddenly, wealth was no longer private. It became performance. Millions of people around the world became fascinated by online displays of luxury and influence. Among the most recognizable online luxury figures was Ramon Olorunwa Abbas, known publicly as Hushpuppi. His online image appeared carefully designed, expensive fashion, luxury travel, and non-stop displays of wealth. The internet rewards attention, and luxury content attracts attention faster than almost anything else. Private jets, expensive restaurants, luxury shopping, and five-star hotels became central parts of the online brand. To fans, the lifestyle looked inspirational. To critics, it raised questions. Online debates slowly began turning into serious public suspicion. Authorities in multiple countries reportedly began investigating cybercrime networks connected to large financial fraud operations. Public reports later described alleged schemes involving business email compromise fraud. Business email compromise scams often target companies by impersonating trusted executives or partners. Investigators alleged that millions of dollars moved through international financial networks connected to fraud schemes. The luxury image online was now being viewed through a completely different lens. Investigators reportedly tracked digital communications, financial transactions, and online activity connected to cyber fraud operations. The internet that helped build the image was now helping investigators trace it. Public fascination with luxury slowly transformed into fascination with the investigation itself. The allegations became international news. Authorities in Dubai carried out a major operation reportedly targeting suspected cybercrime figures. Investigators reportedly seized electronic devices, financial evidence, and luxury items. Images from the operation quickly spread across the internet. For many people, the contrast was shocking. The same luxury lifestyle, once admired online, was now associated with criminal allegations. Court records later described money laundering conspiracy charges connected to international fraud investigations. Public reaction was divided. Some people saw the case as a warning about internet deception. Others viewed it as proof of the dangers of social media obsession. The case became one of the most discussed cybercrime stories connected to social media fame. Luxury had helped build the image, but it also made the attention impossible to avoid. In 2022, U.S. authorities announced sentencing connected to conspiracy to launder money linked to cyber fraud operations. The story that once symbolized internet success had transformed into a global cautionary tale. For millions of followers, the illusion of perfection had collapsed. The case exposed the dangerous pressure created by online comparison culture. In the digital age, appearances can become more powerful than reality. The story of Hushpuppi became more than a cybercrime case. It became a reflection of modern internet culture, a world where attention became currency, luxury became identity, and appearances often mattered more than truth. But eventually, every image faces reality. For years, the internet continued to see luxury, designer fashion, private jets, millions of followers. But behind the glamorous lifestyle, investigators were building a case that would eventually become one of the world's most talked about cybercrime prosecutions. The story of investigation, the courtroom battle, and the sentencing that transformed a social media celebrity into an international true crime headline. Before the court case, there was the image. Social media transformed online personalities into global celebrities. Millions followed luxury lifestyles online, often without knowing the real stories behind the images. Ramon Olorunwa Abbas became one of the internet's most recognizable luxury figure. But as the online fame grew, questions about the source of wealth also began growing. Authorities reportedly began investigating international cyber fraud operations connected to financial scams. Public reports later described allegations involving business email compromise, schemes and money laundering operations. Business email compromise scams typically involve impersonating trusted executives or companies to redirect payments. Investigators allegedly tracked financial transactions across multiple countries. The online image that once represented success was now being examined as part of a global cybercrime investigation. When Dubai authorities reportedly carried out a large operation targeting suspected cybercrime figures, investigators reportedly seized luxury items, phones, laptops, and digital evidence. Images connected to the operation quickly spread online, shocking millions of followers. The luxury lifestyle that once attracted admiration was now attracting worldwide scrutiny. As the investigation expanded, legal proceedings began moving forward. Court documents reportedly outlined allegations connected to international fraud and money laundering conspiracy. The case became one of the most widely discussed cybercrime investigations connected to social media fame. Public reactions were divided. Some saw the case as a warning about online deception. Others viewed it as a reflection of modern internet obsession with luxury. Court records later stated that Abbas pleaded guilty to conspiracy to engage in money laundering. The courtroom phase transformed internet controversy into legal reality. Prosecutors reportedly presented evidence connected to cyber fraud operations and financial transfers. The case highlighted how modern cybercrime can operate across borders using digital technology. Luxury had helped create the image. but it also intensified public attention. For millions online, the story became larger than one individual. U.S. authorities announced sentencing connected to conspiracy to launder money, linked to fraud investigations. The sentence marked the dramatic collapse of one of social media's most recognizable luxury personas. The internet image that once represented unlimited success now represented consequences. The story became a global lesson about image, influence, and reality. The case sparked conversations about internet fame and the pressure to appear successful online. Social media often rewards appearances more than truth. For many people, the case exposed how dangerous digital illusions can become. It became a reflection of an internet culture obsessed with wealth, influence, and appearances. A reminder that behind every image, there is a reality waiting to be revealed. When the news broke, the internet didn't stay quiet. It reacted. Millions of people across different countries began forming opinions instantly, some in shock, some in disbelief, and others in validation. But behind every comment, tweet, and headline was something deeper, a global conversation about wealth, influence, and deception in the digital age. This is the story of how the world reacted. The internet reacted faster than traditional news outlets. Within minutes, hashtags began trending across multiple platforms. People from different countries shared opinions, jokes, analysis, and shock. Some users expressed admiration for the luxury lifestyle before the allegations were fully understood. Others immediately questioned how such wealth was possible. Public opinion quickly split into two major perspectives. One group viewed the case as a cautionary tale about online deception. Another group saw it as proof of the dangers of judging wealth on social media. Memes and jokes also spread rapidly online. Virality turned the case into global entertainment for some audiences. News outlets around the world began covering the case extensively. Headlines focused on luxury, fraud, allegations, and international investigations. The framing of the story varied depending on region and audience. Some outlets focused on cybercrime details, others focused on the luxury lifestyle. This created multiple versions of the same story in the public mind. Social media became the central space for discussion. Influencers, bloggers, and commentators all shared opinions. Some used the case to discuss financial literacy and online caution. Others focused purely on entertainment and gossip. The case became part of internet pop culture. Reactions differed across regions and communities. In some regions, the focus was on success and aspiration. In others, the focus was on legal consequences and cybercrime awareness. Cultural perspectives shaped how the story was interpreted. The same story carried different meanings, depending on audience perspective. Over time, public reaction shifted from shock to reflection. People began discussing the risks of online comparison culture. The case became a reference point in discussions about digital identity. Many people began questioning how easily perception can be shaped online. The internet had not just observed the story, it had helped amplify it. The case remains one of the most discussed cybercrime stories in social media history. Public reaction shaped how the story is remembered. The internet became both witness and storyteller, and in doing so, it created its own version of the story. The public reaction was never just about one man. It was about a digital world learning how to interpret fame, wealth, and controversy in real time. And in that process, the internet revealed more about itself than the story it was reacting to. People only show their best moments. Online luxury posts are curated, staged, and filtered. Viewers confuse content with real life. Expensive lifestyle became a status symbol. Online, many people started performing wealth instead of building it. Renting luxury for photos became normal in influencer culture. Humans naturally trust visuals over facts. Social proof, likes, followers builds false credibility. The more viral something is, the more true it feels. People compare real life to edited lifestyles. This creates pressure, insecurity, and obsession. Social media becomes a silent competition. People are not seen. Their online version is seen. Identity becomes performance-based. The internet builds characters, not humans. Wealth imagery attracts followers faster. Attention becomes currency. Fame is built through appearance, not verification. Extreme content spreads faster. Normal life doesn't trend. So people exaggerate lifestyle to stay relevant. Views, likes, shares fuel visibility. The audience unintentionally promotes the image. Virality removes critical thinking. How is this possible? What does he actually do? Curiosity turns into speculation. Users start analyzing posts, lifestyle clues. Online detectives appear. Information spreads without confirmation. People question how luxury is sustained. Visible wealth doesn't match known income. Sources. This gap fuels controversy. Admiration turns into doubt quickly. Internet perception changes fast. One story can reverse public opinion. Local story becomes international headline. Media amplifies attention. Narrative becomes uncontrollable. Memes, jokes, analysis, outrage. Everyone becomes a commentator. Truth gets mixed with entertainment. Serious allegations become viral content. People consume it like a story. Emotional distance increases. People believe what matches their opinion. Evidence is ignored if it doesn't fit narrative. Divided online communities form. Financial transactions, messages, data trails. Online actions leave permanent footprints. Digital life is traceable. Behind glamour. Systems. Transactions. Networks. Luxury is often the surface layer. Reality is more complex than appearance. Everything posted can be analyzed. Public figures lose anonymity. Online exposure becomes permanent. Court case becomes global interest. People follow like a series. Attention shifts from facts to drama. Legal systems operate outside social media. Online influence does not stop. Consequences. Reality is separate from internet status. Shock. Curiosity. Reflection. Initial reactions fade. Lessons emerge later. What people see is not always true. Online identity can be constructed. Critical thinking is essential. Digital footprints remain forever. Stories stay archived. Reputation becomes permanent. People chase image, not substance. Attention is powerful but temporary. Truth eventually surfaces. What would you do if someone offered you wealth beyond your imagination? Luxury cars, designer clothes, private jets, fame, attention, respect. Many people dream about wealth. That is normal. The desire for a better life is one of the strongest human motivations. But history repeatedly shows that the speed of success often matters less than the foundation on which it is built. This documentary is not about judging one individual. It is about understanding a question millions of young people ask every day. Why spend years building wealth slowly when some people appear to get rich overnight? To answer that question, we must first understand the attraction of quick riches. Most people do not dream of wealth because they love money. They dream of what money represents: freedom, security, comfort, opportunity, and dignity. A young person struggling financially may not be thinking about luxury cars. They may simply want to help their family, pay school fees, or escape hardship. People often celebrate success stories without asking how long the journey took. We see the mansion. We rarely see the years of work behind it. We see the business owner. We rarely see the failed attempts, sleepless nights, and sacrifices. Social media compresses time. 10 years of work can be presented in a 30-second video. Viewers see the destination without seeing the journey. One of the most dangerous habits online is comparing your everyday reality to someone else's highlight reel. When people constantly compare themselves to others, they may begin making decisions based on emotion rather. Legal systems operate outside social media. Online influence does not stop. Consequences. Reality is separate from internet status. Shock. Curiosity. Reflection. Initial reactions fade. Lessons emerge later. What people see is not always true. Online identity can be constructed. Critical thinking is essential. Digital footprints remain forever. Stories stay archived. Reputation becomes permanent. People chase image, not substance. Attention is powerful but temporary. Truth eventually surfaces. What would you do if someone offered you wealth beyond your imagination? Luxury cars, designer clothes, private jets, fame, attention, respect. Many people dream about wealth. That is normal. The desire for a better life is one of the strongest human motivations. But history repeatedly shows that the speed of success often matters less than the foundation on which it is built. This documentary is not about judging one individual. It is about understanding a question millions of young people ask every day. Why spend years building wealth slowly when some people appear to get rich overnight? To answer that question, we must first understand the attraction of quick riches. Most people do not dream of wealth because they love money. They dream of what money represents: freedom, security, comfort, opportunity, and dignity. A young person struggling financially may not be thinking about luxury cars. They may simply want to help their family, pay school fees, or escape hardship. People often celebrate success stories without asking how long the journey took. We see the mansion. We rarely see the years of work behind it. We see the business owner. We rarely see the failed attempts, sleepless nights, and sacrifices. Social media compresses time. 10 years of work can be presented in a 30-second video. Viewers see the destination without seeing the journey. One of the most dangerous habits online is comparing your everyday reality to someone else's highlight reel. When people constantly compare themselves to others, they may begin making decisions based on emotion rather than wisdom. Many young people today face pressure not only to succeed, but to look successful. In reality, most lasting wealth is built slowly. Businesses grow gradually. Skills develop gradually. Investments grow gradually. Many so-called overnight successes are actually the result of years of unseen effort. Every shortcut has a price. Sometimes the price is financial. Sometimes it is legal. Sometimes it is emotional. Sometimes it affects reputation for years. Trust takes years to build and moments to damage. Internet fame can disappear far faster than it arrives. People often focus on immediate rewards and ignore long-term consequences. Money is useful, but it should not become the measure of personal worth. Many people spend years chasing money, but very little time learning how money works. The strongest financial foundations are built on skills, education, discipline, and patience. Luxury trends come and go. Skills remain valuable for decades. In a world that rewards instant gratification, patience has become rare. That rarity makes it powerful. Success includes health, relationships, peace of mind, personal growth, and contribution to others. Opportunities often come to people because of trust. Character influences trust. Many decisions feel temporary. Their consequences often last much longer. The lesson is not that wealth is wrong. The lesson is not that ambition is dangerous. The lesson is not that success should be avoided. The lesson is that how success is pursued matters. Every generation faces the temptation of shortcuts. Every generation must decide whether immediate rewards are worth long-term consequences. True success is not measured only by what people see. It is measured by what remains when the attention disappears. Skills remain. Knowledge remains. Character remains. Reputation remains. And the choices we make today become the story others tell tomorrow. Every story eventually reaches its final frame. But not every ending gives closure. Some stories leave behind questions. Questions about society, about influence, about ambition, and about truth. Is one of those stories. A story that began with admiration, turned into controversy, and ended in legal consequences that sparked global debate. But beyond the headlines, beyond the court documents, and beyond the viral reactions, there is something deeper we must understand. There was never a single interpretation of this case. The internet fractured it into multiple narratives: success story, cautionary tale, entertainment, and crime story. At first, the reaction was admiration, then confusion, then suspicion, and finally reflection. Human beings react faster emotionally than logically, especially when money, fame, and luxury are involved. Once a story becomes viral, it stops belonging to individuals. It becomes public property. The more people discussed the case, the larger it became. Not necessarily more accurate, just louder. One of the strongest reactions was not about crime, but about lifestyle fascination. Modern social media rewards appearance more than substance. This creates an illusion economy, where image becomes value. Many people follow influence without asking how it is built. People began comparing real-life struggles with curated digital perfection. Young audiences were especially impacted by lifestyle expectations. Online identity can be constructed independently of real-world. Internet fame can grow instantly. Immediate rewards are worth long-term consequences. True success is not measured only by what people see. It is measured by what remains when the attention disappears. Skills remain. Knowledge remains. Character remains. Reputation remains. And the choices we make today become the story others tell tomorrow. Every story eventually reaches its final frame. But not every ending gives closure. Some stories leave behind questions. Questions about society, about influence, about ambition, and about truth. Is one of those stories. A story that began with admiration, turned into controversy, and ended in legal consequences that sparked global debate. But beyond the headlines, beyond the court documents, and beyond the viral reactions, there is something deeper we must understand. There was never a single interpretation of this case. The internet fractured it into multiple narratives: success story, cautionary tale, entertainment, and crime story. At first, the reaction was admiration, then confusion, then suspicion, and finally reflection. Human beings react faster emotionally than logically, especially when money, fame, and luxury are involved. Once a story becomes viral, it stops belonging to individuals. It becomes public property. The more people discussed the case, the larger it became. Not necessarily more accurate, just louder. One of the strongest reactions was not about crime, but about lifestyle fascination. Modern social media rewards appearance more than substance. This creates an illusion economy, where image becomes value. Many people follow influence without asking how it is built. People began comparing real-life struggles with curated digital perfection. Young audiences were especially impacted by lifestyle expectations. Online identity can be constructed independently of real-world. Internet fame can grow instantly and collapse just as fast. The internet does not wait for legal conclusions before forming opinions. Serious investigations often become entertainment content online. Algorithms do not prioritize truth. They prioritize engagement. While the internet debates, legal systems follow structured evidence. Legal outcomes depend on documented proof, not public opinion. Modern cyber investigations operate across multiple countries simultaneously. Digital actions can produce real-world legal consequences. Public image does not influence judicial accountability. The internet reacts intensely, but often forgets just as quickly. After viral attention fades, only lessons remain. Not every viral story is complete. Not every image is truth. Digital fame is powerful but unstable. This case is not only about allegations or outcomes. It is about perception, responsibility, and awareness. Every story has an ending. Some endings are dramatic. Some endings are tragic. Some endings are inspiring. But occasionally, an ending becomes something else entirely. It becomes a lesson. The story of Ramon Olorunwa Abbas, known globally as Hushpuppi, is one of those stories. Years after the luxury photographs, the social media fame, the investigations, the headlines, and the courtroom proceeding, people continue to ask the same question. What does this story actually mean? Was it simply the story of one man? Or was it a reflection of something much larger? Because when millions of people become fascinated by a story, it usually reveals as much about society as it does about the individual at the center of it. To understand the true conclusion of this case, we must look beyond the headlines and examine the deeper lessons hidden beneath the surface. No story exists in isolation. Every story emerges from a particular environment. To understand this case, we must understand the world that made it possible. We live in an era unlike any before it. For most of human history, wealth was private. People knew their neighbors, their communities, and perhaps a few public figures. Today, a young person sitting in a small room can instantly view the lifestyles of celebrities, entrepreneurs, athletes, influencers, and millionaires from around the world. Never before have people been exposed to so many images of success. Never before have comparisons been so constant. Never before has appearance traveled so quickly. One photograph can change how people see you. One image can create assumptions. One image can create admiration. One image can create envy. One image can create influence. Human beings are visual creatures. We naturally trust what we can see. Yet photographs rarely tell the full story. A camera captures a moment. It does not capture context. It does not capture history. It does not capture consequences. Throughout history, people have always wanted status. What changed is how status is displayed. Social media transformed status into content. Success became something to showcase. Lifestyle became something to broadcast. Luxury became something to document. The result was a culture where appearances often became more important than substance. Comparison is one of the oldest human habits. But social media turned comparison into a full-time activity. Every scroll presents another person who appears more successful, more attractive, more accomplished, more wealthy. The danger is not simply envy. The danger is distorted perception. One of the most powerful fantasies in modern culture is the idea of overnight success. People admire the destination. Few admire the journey. Yet most meaningful achievements require years of effort. Skills take time. Businesses take time. Expertise takes time. Trust takes time. Reputation takes time. The desire to bypass that process creates vulnerability. There was a time when mistakes faded with memory. The digital age changed that. Today, information can remain searchable for years. Screenshots survive. Headlines survive. Discussions survive. Digital footprints survive. Reputation is one of the most valuable assets any person can possess. Unlike money, reputation cannot simply be purchased. Unlike property, it cannot easily be replaced. It exists in the minds of other people. And once damaged, rebuilding it can take years. Every generation faces temptation. Every generation searches for shortcuts. Every generation encounters people who appear to have discovered an easier path. Yet the principles of sustainable success remain remarkably consistent. Knowledge matters. Skills matter. Discipline matters. Character matters. Patience matters. Perhaps the most important question raised by this story is, what is success? Is success attention? Is success wealth? Is success influence? Is success luxury? Or is success something deeper? Peace of mind, stability, meaningful relationships, personal growth, contribution to others, integrity. Ultimately, the story became bigger than any individual. It became a reflection of the digital age itself, an age where images travel faster than facts, where perception can become reality, where influence can appear overnight, and where millions of people search for answers about success, wealth, and identity. The greatest lesson is not about one person. The greatest lesson is about responsibility. The responsibility to think critically. The responsibility to question appearances. The responsibility to build success on foundations that can endure. Because attention fades. Trends fade. Headlines fade. But character remains. Reputation is one of the most fragile assets a person can possess. It can take years to build trust and very little time to damage it. Public image may change quickly, but consequences often last much longer. The internet remembers more than people often realize. Actions taken online can continue to exist long after they are forgotten. The digital age has made accountability more visible. One of the biggest questions raised by stories like this is, what does success actually mean? Is success measured by attention, wealth, recognition, or by something deeper? Different people will answer differently, but the question itself is worth asking. Perhaps the final lesson is not about one individual. It is about choices. Every generation faces opportunities and temptations. Every generation decides what kind of future it wants to build. The headlines eventually fade. The discussions eventually slow. But the lessons remain. In the end, the most important success is defined by what remains when the cameras are gone, the attention fades, and the world moves on. In that moment, all that remains are the choices we made, the values we lived by, and the legacy we leave behind. But beyond the case itself, the real lesson belongs to everyone who consumes digital content. Because in the end, the internet does not just show us stories. It shapes how we believe them. The story of Hushpuppi became bigger than one man. It exposed a digital culture obsessed with appearances, where likes became status, and luxury became identity. But behind every illusion, reality eventually waits. This documentary is created for educational and commentary purposes using publicly available information and AI-generated visual recreations. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to Deadly Secrets for more true crime stories where technology, obsession, and reality collide.